So for those of you who aren't familiar with us, Ampersand is a TV advertising sales and technology company. We empower advertisers to find their audiences in 85 million households across more than 150 networks and in over 60% of all addressable households in the US. We're moving TV forward by simplifying the way advertisers plan, buy, and measure their TV investments. The restaurant category is one of Ampersand's largest verticals. It represents about $100 million in annual revenue for us. I lead the strategy for the restaurant category. So I'm very excited to host Erin today. Erin recently joined Del Taco in a newly created position of Vice President Marketing Technology, where she's focused on integrated programs designed to drive loyalty and increase visits. Before joining Del Taco, Erin held senior and executive leadership positions in several industries, including casino gaming, hospitality, and restaurants. Erin has won multiple awards, including being recognized by Mobile Marketer as one of the top 25 women to watch in mobile marketing, and was recently named MarTech Leader of the Year by the Internet Marketing Association. So welcome, Erin, and congratulations on your new role.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm excited to be talking about something as important as women in marketing today.
Yeah, well, we're glad to have you. So our topic, as you said, is women in marketing, and you have a really unique perspective having a technology focus in your position that not many women have today. When we spoke last week, you mentioned that you love MarTech and it requires high emotional IQ. Why is that important?
So I think of MarTech as like emotional technology, and I believe that it's important because when you think about technology, like anyone can create a beautiful MarTech stack and hand it over, but what you want to create is something that helps and aids in that a word I don't like, but frictionless, that ability to make it a smooth, craveable process for the consumer. And that's why it's important, right? It should embody some feeling and emotion, not necessarily the technology build, but it should do something that drives that customer, that helps that customer, that assists that customer, typically with an emotion that they have in order to make their process smoother, easier, quicker, whatever it might be, but more convenient for them, which then in turn, hopefully creates a better and more positive emotion based on the technology put into place.
That's great. Yeah. So what advice do you have for women looking to differentiate their role beyond brand marketing?
Ask a lot of questions. Push. If you don't understand it right away, just keep asking questions. Don't stop yourself. Don't question yourself. In the time it might take you to raise your hand, the man next to you has already risen his hand, right? So just raise your hand. Figure it out later. Richard Branson always talks about the idea that if you're not exactly sure how to do something, but you want to do it, say yes and figure it out afterwards. It's the passion that matters. So jump at the chance, learn, question, find the right mentor, and just keep pushing forward.
Right. I like what you said when we spoke earlier too about not taking job requirements literally, get the interview and just kind of move on from there.
Yeah.
Too.
I mean, your whole goal is just to get your foot in the door, right? To get the conversation and whatever you have to do to get that conversation. I'm not saying lie, do not lie, but don't overanalyze the job requirements. I read job requirements right now that'll still say you need to have 20 or 25 years of experience to do this role. And all I immediately think is I can't do it. I would have been 10. I don't know. That's not true. But I can't, it's just sometimes these things are just carried over, these qualifications, and no one in HR in the employment area has gone through and updated them. Or it says you must have a master's degree. Not everybody has a master's degree, but should that stop me from getting the job or at least getting the conversation about the job? I don't think so. So raise your hand, fill out the application, knock on the door, get the interview. You can decide if you want the job later.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know you do a lot of coaching and mentoring through a local organization there in Milwaukee. So, and I know you've also posted on LinkedIn offering to help job seekers who you know. So tell us about that passion.
So I love teaching and educating, and part of a couple different reasons. My degree is in theater and arts, and someone took time to invest in me. And so I think it's important to invest in others. I also think that I've also had not great people around me either that don't want to invest in me or won't answer my questions. And I vowed to myself early on that I would not be that person. And that's what we should be doing, is passing it forward, helping each other, seeing what we can do with our connections. And I'll be the first to say, if I know someone that might assist you, I'm going to put you guys together and connect you. And then mentoring and helping other women in this field specifically because they want to go to the next step, and they'll come and they'll be like, well, no one has come and given me the opportunity. Go fight for it. Like, get out there and push for it. And then if you're blessed enough, someone will come in the right time, right person, right? Meet cue. But like, go fight for it. No one's going to just stand there and hand you the opportunity. And so that's what I like to do, is teach and educate on those things, as well as digital marketing. I think that as digital marketers, we allow a lot of what we learn to come from our vendors, which is good in a lot of ways. But we also need to go out and figure out, is this right? Is this wrong? Should we look at it? Should we test it differently, and start to help each other in our industry peer to peer? So I love doing it. I think it helps build connections and grow people. And if I can do that for someone else, I think that's even better. I did post on LinkedIn saying, if someone needs assistance or help, connections, whatever it might be, I'll do whatever I can to help them. I had a plethora of emails. And I apologize now if one of you is watching and I haven't responded, in which case just ping me again. But one woman came to me and she goes, can you connect me to so-and-so? And I did. And through the process, she actually realized that she had a passion for real estate, which was completely out of our field. And she goes, what do you think about it? And I was like, I think if that's what you want to do, go do it. And so in the time it took her to decide, 3 months later, she had her license and was ready to go. But it took someone just kind of pushing her and nudging her, going, yeah, go do it. Don't let anything stop you. And sometimes we need to hear that from someone else, and we can't just answer it ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a mentor, or have you had one throughout your career?
I've had lots of different ones. I wouldn't say that I have like a person. Everywhere I've either worked or gone to school, there's someone I look to that I'm like, I like them. Sometimes I like my mentors more than I did, and sometimes I don't, right? Like, sometimes your mentor is someone who pushed you so hard, right? I think of it as like your personal trainer. I don't much care for him. Don't much like him. In fact, I use a lot of swear words at him, but he's there for a reason, right? He's there to help me and to grow me. And I might not like the growth, but oh man, I like the finished product. And so I have some mentors like that. When I think back, David Norton, who was the CMO at Caesars, I've stayed in contact for years and years and years with him. Like, he is someone that I can go to and I know will give me sound career advice. Bobby Shaw, who used to be the CEO of Freebird's World Burrito, was someone that you wanted to follow, right? He had those leadership qualities that you were like, all right, I'm on the train, let's go. So those are the type of people that I like. You know, you see them and you go, I want to be in their boat. I want to be in their boat and paddle with them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So clearly, from some of your mentors, you've had a diverse career path with roles in casino gaming, hospitality, and restaurants, with Little Caesars, right? So how do you bring that to life in marketing for Del Taco?
So I believe if you're a good marketer, you can market anything. So I know that sounds crazy, but in Vegas, I wasn't marketing a hotel room. I was marketing a destination, an escape, a vacation, right? Like, you wanted to get away. You wanted to be someone different. And that same feeling that I talk about that with was how we marketed wings, right? So Wingstop, it was a crave. You had a visceral feeling when you wanted to eat wings. And once you have wings on the brain, guess what? You're probably going to eat wings. And it's a craveable, exciting food. And it's the same way I talk about Vegas. Tacos are one of those things that we have an entire day of the week dedicated to tacos, right? We have so many occasions in which you're eating tacos, and it's one of those craveable foods where you're like, oh man, I want tacos, right? Like, I need tacos. And that's like, it's marketing that feeling, and it's marketing that need and that crave. And you can do that in whatever industry you're in.
So what brought you back to restaurant marketing?
So I was working, my most recent, I was the CMO of Marcus Hotels and Resorts out of Milwaukee. And Tim, our CMO at Del Taco, called me and said, hey, we're going to create this new position. What do you think? And we started talking about it. And I'm a big believer, like I said, with mentors, is you want to be in someone's boat, right? You want to work with someone you want to work with. And after talking to him, after talking to our amazing CEO, I was like, I want to be in this boat. I want to be in this boat. What are we selling? Tacos? All right, let's go. Let's get in this boat, right? And I truly believe people follow people. And in this case, it was a very easy decision. Talking to the team there, it's really a family. It's a group of people all focused on driving the numbers forward, helping our franchisees. And it's just a feeling I want to be around. And then I get to work in something I love, which is marketing technology.
Great. Yeah, I know. Having a great team, working with a great team makes all the difference in the world. Mm-hmm. You mentioned too about a complementary mindset to your CMO too. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
We're very different. And you don't want to surround yourself with people who are just like you, right? You never want to do that. And I joke that my kids are very opposite of me as well, which makes me want to bang my head against the wall, but I will love it eventually. But your teams need to be diverse. And I think one of the things that Tim and I do really well is he is linear, he is math-based, he is very detailed. I am not that person. I will never be that person. I don't pretend to be that person. You'll never see me in an interview being like, yeah, I love the details. I really do well in spelling. I still say I before E before I spell a word. So I'm more like get from A to B through a roller coaster ride. There's a lot of emotion involved. And then we get there and we celebrate. And because of that, I think we make a solid team, and we're going to grow together even more. And I joke with my team that there are going to be times you hate me because we are so different, but that's what's going to be amazing because we really fill out that circle.
Right. Yeah. So I know you're really new to your current role, but tell us about some of the initiatives that Del Taco is focused on for next year.
So Del Taco focuses on value, convenience, and freshness, right? We know our food is made fresh. Unlike other brands, we have food that we slice and dice in the restaurant. We cook it in the restaurant, which if you're familiar with the QSR space, that is not necessarily how all food is cooked. We focus on value. We have multiple things on our Del's Dollar menu, and that's great because you have so many different things you can choose for you or your family or your friends. And then convenience, which is like you can have it any way you want it, wherever you want it. And so I get to focus on all the things that bring that to life. And I joke with people that it's anything that touches a mobile device or a computer, which turns out to be everything anymore. So delivery, online ordering, CRM, all of those things. And like right now we have an app. You can download the app. I believe there's an offer for free tacos if you download the app. And you can use that, and different offers are loaded in there depending on your user behavior.
Great. Well, I know you've got a lot of good plans moving forward. So how is your team structured?
So my team is all men right now, and we have a director and 2 managers, and they're amazing. I will tell you that they welcomed me with open arms. So my position was new. So they learned like, hey, you're going to get someone new to work with. And they've been so eager and excited, and we are pushing the envelope and pushing it forward. And so we work, like I said, one's handling all of our CRM loyalty, one's handling all of our delivery service providers. It's really broken out, and Google Analytics, all of those things all come under us as well.
Yeah, I had a nice conversation with Eric in one of the panels earlier this week. So it seems like
he's outstanding.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, he's so great.
A really great team. So any advice for vendors?
Advice, well, don't be overly annoying, but be persistent, right? Like I would say that I'm not going to respond to the person that emails me and everybody in my company 35 times a day. That's just not going to happen. But outside of that, I would say be persistent and short and to the point. Like, what can you do and how does it work? And the more you understand restaurants, the better when you're reaching out. So yeah.
Right. Great. So it looks like we have a lot of questions here. I hope I'm reading the right area. I'm seeing Q&A, not chat. Let me go to the chat. Do you see them, Erin?
I think so. I'm looking.
Okay. Let me see. There's a lot of them here. So how do you see your audience demographic expanding to be more inclusive as the industry grows and evolves?
That's a good question. Inclusivity, I think, is something all companies are working really strong towards right now. I think they have been, and we've changed the word inclusive a couple different times over the last few years, but same idea, right? How do we make sure everybody feels welcomed? And that's the goal. And I think It turns out tacos don't discriminate. So we're very welcoming. But I think from a consumer behavior standpoint, it's going to be studying our consumers, right? The R&D and the research and the insights we can get, and then pivoting based on it. We don't look at a plan and go, oh, that's our full year plan and we're not going to pivot. I mean, as we all know with the pandemic, we pivoted over and over very quickly. I mean, think back to March. I was talking to someone today and I said, what happened to this only being for 2 weeks? And then I could leave my house. And like, now we're almost at the end of the year, and that seems like such a distant memory, right?
Yeah, I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, it seems like restaurants and delivery services, everybody was pivoting, every couple weeks just because there was so much happening and so much ground to make up, right?
Yeah.
So let's take another one of these questions. How do you envision technology changing, if at all, to support a new generation of workers who work from home? Well, that's a good question.
Oh man, that's a great question. So it's interesting. I was thinking about this the other day too. So it is a really solid question on how. So I hate my internet provider at my house. Like, I don't think hate is a strong enough word, right? Like, internet goes down, I'm like yelling. We tried to switch it one day and they turned it off for like 6 hours. So, but I think that's always been a common occurrence. I think it definitely makes it smooth. Like it raises the bar for them. They have to do a better job. I also think that outside of that, I'm getting used to video conferences. Like someone said, do you want to meet the other day? And I was like, I don't know if I do. Can we just do a video meeting? And that was really strange for me because when this all first started, I was like, I don't want to do video meetings. I don't want to see any more people on video. I can't handle it. So I think that original video conference Zoom fatigue wore off. And now I've become accustomed to it, right? It's like training a muscle. I also think it makes us better communicators because since we can't be in person, just randomly stopping by offices, it makes our communication much more concise back and forth. So I think that'll change. My worry is that we make sure that we have family time and we start to like blend it together appropriately, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that it's work overtakes your life because my office is right next to my bed half the time, right? Like, so like, how do you really separate that where you don't just roll out of bed and start working? And making sure that you bucket your time for like, whether it's working out or your family or whatever it might be that's important to you.
Yeah, that's a challenge. I feel like I spend 10 hours a day in this room. It is crazy. So I'm going to look here at another question. What trends in consumer behavior are of particular importance to you and marketers now? How are they consuming media differently?
Right out of the gate with the pandemic, we saw people spend more time consuming media, right? And I was really interested. I kept asking people like, are your media rates going up? Like, what are you seeing? Because I assume I was making an assumption that people are consuming it much more and are much more prevalent to seeing things on their phone now than even before. I think it sped things up. I also think like in the hotel industry, which is where I came from, it pushed us even faster to have that mobile check-in, that ability to open your door with your phone as your key, right? Things that already existed in a lot of places, but a lot of hotels didn't have them. And so it pushed them even faster to say like, no, people don't want to interact with other humans right now unless it's to like wave from 6 feet. We cannot hand them a key. Let's make sure they can use their phone, right? Menus on your phone. Nobody should be handing you a paper menu. Those things were all sped up because of this. I think keeping an eye on our delivery service provider partners, on what they're doing, how they're handling it, keeping an eye on technology and e-commerce, right? I think we've all seen sales for e-commerce go through the roof because people are ordering, having it delivered to home. I think some restaurants, in fact, are winning out, right? Like I went to Lou Malnati's the other night to pick up pizza, and the pickup line was insane. And people were eating in the restaurant too. And I'm like, these guys are doing double the business that they were doing probably pre-pandemic. Like that has to be amazing for them because people they're not able to go out and about the same way they were. I also think entertainment becomes going to the drive-thru now, right? Like I said to my husband the other day, I said, I'm going to run through the drive-thru and grab some food. He's like, you want me to come with you? I'm like, oh, are we going on a field trip? Like, this is fun. So it actually has become that dashboard diner, like a kind of a field trip, something fun to do that's different right now. So it'll be interesting as things evolve and change over the next year. Does that go away a little bit? Does that continue to be successful? So just keeping an eye on all of that.
Yeah, it was great to hear on the restaurant panel the other day about all the innovation that's happening, not only on the technology side, but with menus and really being creative and
Yep.
faster, faster and speedier to market. So
Mhm.
a lot of things happening. Yeah. So I'm taking another question here. How are you managing and navigating your business, your customer strategies, and employee engagement, particularly over the past few months?
Well, I can speak to before I was here and then now that I'm
Oh,
here.
right. Yeah, you're
So
really
employee engagement, I think, is challenging, but then it goes back to your emotional intelligence, right? It's the communication and conversations and meeting your employees where they are. So if your employee is the type of person that wants to check in every morning and have a phone conversation, you do that. If your employee is the type of person who wants to give you updates in the evening, you do that. As a leader, you meet your employees where they are and you assist them. And then you make sure they're assisting their employees the same way. I think development wise, it has, again, made it easier from a communication standpoint, what needs to get done. We're all moving very, very quickly, which makes it challenging, but also fun. So communication is the key. But I don't think this has changed anything other than the random people that interrupted my day on my revolving door of my office before this, right? So now it's, I mean, again, 5 weeks in the new position, it's learning my employees, what makes them tick. So like for us, we do the Gallup Strength Finder. I'm a big believer in Gallup and how they've created the Strength Finder. If you haven't taken it, you should just Google it. And I know what my strengths are. I also know because of that what my blind spots are. And so I work with my team to understand what their strengths are, what their blind spots are. And then that helps them when we do have conversations to be like, I see why she's attacking it this way, because that's her core strength. If I point this out and just having radical candor, hey, that might be your blind spot. That might be, and being humble enough to be like, good point. Yep, didn't think of that. Good point.
yeah.
So it's open communication.
I'm a big fan of the Gallup Strength Finder, and I think it's nice to do that with your team as well, right? To understand what those communication styles are. So it's really insightful. It's fun. So I'm taking another question here. As leaders, you are always developing your abilities. What skills would you like your marketing team to develop this year?
Oh man. What skills do I want my marketing team to develop this year? I think it's not specific to one thing. I think it's each, again, it goes back to situational, right? I sit with each of my team members and I say, where do you want to grow? For instance, and this is kind of a one-off scenario. I once had a team member who was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And I was like, okay, what do you want to do? And they were like, I think I want to work in like the restaurant category as more of like on the culinary side. And I was like, well, that's completely different than what you're doing now. But here's what I'll do. I'm going to ask you to give me 150%. And in the meantime, we'll work on a transition plan and I will do everything after hours to help you figure out how to get you into culinary and to do what you want. And I will handhold you the whole way. And he was like, all right, cool. And what that allowed is me for a transition time and I didn't have an unhappy employee. Now, better scenarios might be just asking someone, like, what are you looking for? What do you want to do? And then building out a developmental skill set that can help them get there. For instance, I had someone last week before, um, I knew one of his top strengths was analytical. And I was like, hey, how do you feel about Google Analytics? And he's like, I haven't really dabbled in that much. And I was like, great, here's a certification. And then we're going to do this. And it was like, let's build that out together and what that looks like. But each employee is different based on what they want to develop. And some employees shock me, to be quite frank, on where their passion is. And you go, all right, let's get behind that. Let's help you do that. And figuring out which spot they go in best.
Yeah. Okay. So if you could give your younger self a piece of career advice, what would it be?
Oh man, to not worry what others think of me. If I could do it all over again, right? Don't we all think that? I would worry less, right? Like I wouldn't stay up at night going, oh man, did I screw that up? Do they hate me? What do they feel? Like I would just hit it head on. And I once had I used to sit at one of the casinos. I was the only woman on the executive team, except for general counsel. And she pulled me aside one day and she was scary. Like she intimidated the crap out of me. And she, I just want to let you know that people are going to call you a bitch. They're going to call it to your face. They're going to call it behind your back. Do not change anything you're doing. You are direct. And that is great. And it scares the crap out of these guys. And I was like, all right. And like, I look back on that now. She still scared me back then. But I look back on it and I was like, it was probably the best advice I got. And really what she was saying was be yourself, don't change, and don't worry about what people were saying behind my back. And I wish I knew that back then. I wish it didn't bother me as much. I wish it still didn't bother me sometimes when I hear like someone say like something behind my back and I'm like, why does that have to happen? Like, why do people have to talk bad about people? Like, why can't we lift each other up? But I think I've come a long way in how I deal with it.
Yeah, we get thicker skin as we progress, don't we?
Yes.
So I'm going to look at another question here. What purpose-driven campaign do you have planned? I don't think you're going to know this. You're 5 weeks into the job. Let me.
No. Drinking from the fire hose right now. I have figured out figuratively where the bathroom is.
Well, you probably have some insight on that from being at home, but I don't see any other questions here unless I'm. I
think there was one about interviewing. Did we see that? I don't know.
Well, hi guys. I'll pop in a few follow-up questions. So I'm happy to share mine because I always love hearing from Erin. So I also started my role at Brand Innovators during the pandemic, and so I haven't gotten to meet any of my coworkers in person. Has that been a challenge for you, Erin, to lead a new team and not have actually met people face to face?
It's funny how video can really do a lot and you forget you haven't met them in person once you build that relationship, to the point where I was in a meeting the other day and I said, it was where I could see someone walking and I said, holy crap, you're tall. And he goes, yeah, I'm like, I don't know, 6'8" or whatever. And I said, whoa, I said, I would have never known that based on only ever seeing you from the shoulders up. And I just didn't know. But yeah, you grow together. It's like having an emotional connection with someone, and then in person, I think it'll be even more fun. I can't wait until I meet everybody in person, but for now, video is perfect, and you build connections you didn't realize you could do before the pandemic.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something to look forward to. And I know someday, who knows when that will be, we'll get to reunite with these coworkers and meet in person for the first time. And so I also want to sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, did you guys both interview virtually then too?
Yeah, no, my whole process was virtual as well, which was definitely different. I haven't had that before, but always good to build new skill sets and learn how to interview via video.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Another question I had was, so obviously started a new role, a challenging time. So how important do you feel like it is to always be seeking out new opportunities and challenges in your professional field? I know you've worked at a variety of large companies and different industries throughout the years. So how important is that, do you think, for people who are tuning in earlier on in their careers?
Yeah, it depends on what you want to do, right? If you're happy where you're like sitting still, sit still, right? Like if you're interested in what else is out there, right? Don't stop yourself, right? And I talked to some folks recently where she said to me, she goes, I don't know if I should be looking. I think I might want to look, but I'm not sure. And I was like, or I think I might want to talk to that company, but I'm not sure I want the job. Mm-hmm. Talk to the company. You're not marrying, you're just dating, right? Like you're just having a conversation. Worst case, you have some insights that you now get to take back to your current role. I would say that in this case, I wasn't looking. It was a something that figuratively fell in my lap and was too good to pass up. I've been very lucky. I don't think I've ever actually applied with like a paper application and gotten a job. And I've filled out a lot of those in my years. All my jobs have come from networking or someone saying like, hey, I heard about you, and which has been great, but it also comes out of putting yourself out there, getting involved in your community, in things like Brand Innovators, right? Making friends in the industry, learning from each other, so that when those opportunities come up 2, 5, 10 years from now, someone goes, hey, I remember someone that might be interested in doing this, right? That simple.
Yeah. No, definitely. I feel like these, just the live casts and all of the people I've gotten to connect with through Brand Innovators, I've gotten to meet so many people and to expand the network. And I feel like now that everyone has, so much free time at home, why not, make the most of it and connect with people who are willing to talk to you. I'm curious, do you have mentorship as, a big aspect of your life? I feel like you have so many interesting, stories and anecdotes to share. And so I'm curious if that's something where you, connect with younger marketers and, help them.
I do that. So I run the Milwaukee Interactive Marketing Association, or we call it 414 Digital. I've done that in every city I think I've lived in or been on the board for. Outside of that, I'm also involved in some women's leadership groups in Milwaukee, not just marketing, but I encourage people to reach out and ask. Like a lot of time I'll talk to younger marketers who go, well, how do you find these opportunities? How do you find a mentor? And I was like, I don't know. I just walked up and said, hey, mentor sounds like a weird word, right? Like it sounds scary. It sounds like you need to teach me, right? Like, yeah, you're going to be like the Karate Kid and you're going to be like the guy in charge of it, right? Like that's not what you need. You just want to make that connection. And so humbling yourself and going, hey, will you just give me 30 minutes to chat? Like, I just want to pick your brain, or I want to ask you a couple questions, and then responding for people that are in positions like mine, being humble enough to just respond and say like, yeah, happy to, or you know what, I'll give you 10 minutes. I only have 10 minutes today, but those are the people that help me. So I want to do the same thing for them as I've grown in my career. And I encourage anyone to like, not wait. Just if you see someone and you're like, I'm impressed by them, reach out and tell them, because they want to hear that too. Be like, I was impressed by you, right? So those things are important, and we all live in our own bubbles. So we forget to kind of poke into someone else's bubble sometimes.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like people always don't want to be a burden, but people are so much more willing to help than we always give them credit for. And so just, taking that time to reach out. Lisa, have you felt the similarly with, helping out younger marketers and people working in your industry?
Yes, absolutely. I think, I think when you ask people questions or ask someone to mentor you, a lot of times they're flattered, right? Or they, most people do want to help. I think, you find that quite frequently. And I love talking to people, especially millennials in the business.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, thank you guys so much. Erin, do you have any final words you want to say to our community before we let you guys go?
I would say that if anyone's watching and they're like, I wonder what's holding me back, whether they're in sales or they're in marketing or they're thinking about a new job or they feel like there's something stopping them from doing something, the only thing stopping you is you. If you don't like it, move, right? Like I have a saying on my wall at home that says like, if you don't like something, change it. You're not a tree, right? Like you can move. And I truly believe that. And so when I hear myself complain about something, I'm like, what can I do differently? Either I'm not complaining about it or I'm changing it. And so really, really embrace that and push forward.
That's such great advice. We're the captain of our own ship. So if we want to make a change, we have the power to do that.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I don't know, Lisa, if you had any final questions.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say thank you for joining us today. You're clearly a great role model in the industry. So
thank you.
Great talking to you. Yeah.
Thank you both for joining us, and hope to have you both back again soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Have the rest of your day. Well, everyone, we're so grateful to have such a great session from Erin and Lisa, and hope you guys all enjoyed it as